current geopolitical state of things, and with this economic crisis, and with the fact with this war thing going on, you could expect to see a lot of potential shit hits the fan extractions. Like for instance, David Bowie and the guy from Harry Potter that both just died. It's a possibility once again that these guys, like okay, down in the domes, the deep underground military bases, or you could even say in the space station, either way you want to go, up or down, because they're doing them both. I mean, it's basically, it's even biblical prophecy that it says that the kings of the earth will be hidden in the rocks. They'll be telling the rocks to fall on them to hide them from the coming of the Lord. So it's potential that they take some of these musicians and they maybe take them to the underground military bases, deep underground military bases, and they're down there kind of like as the jesters of the of the people, the elites who have, who are on that roster to go to get shit hits the fan extracted into the domes. And, potentially, once again, you got breakaway society, too, that wants to fly off into space. And that was telegraphed in a predictive programming manner in that movie Machete Kills. And Mel Gibson is the character, he's got on a mask like he looks kind of like Darth Vader in a way, like a janky Darth Vader type dude. Yeah. Once again, man. And then here's another thing, expect to see also a lot of people suicided, where or dying under suspicious circumstances. I mean, that happens like when the it's like when the bankers start getting suicided, expect there's something coming. And then there's another wave of suicided bankers. I mean, suicided scientists and bankers and politicians now. They hit a dang Supreme Court justice. I mean, they hit the damn president, Kennedy, back in the day. And they hit Lincoln as well. And it's funny, they were just talking about Lincoln. And they used to use Lincoln and Obama kind of like together. Like, it's kind of like they're telegraphing that they're gonna try to hit him as well, to start World War III, basically. I mean, I think that's, I'm just guessing here, that's kind of what it feels like they're pushing towards. And once again, back into the screw face situation. I mean, you could think of this, like, take the real guy, take him to the underground military bases, then put the clone out there and have him hit the clone. That's basically what the screw face means, the screw face situation. So you could expect to see these type of things. And I mean, the deep underground military bases, those are there for sure. Like, there could be you can't trust anything NASA tells you. And I even went to the Kennedy Space Center down in Florida before and went and looked at their props and stuff and seeing they actually have where they faked the moon landing in the Kennedy Space Center. Like, they have this room and it shows you, it's just a big set. And it's funny, way after the fact did I look back on that and be like, holy crap. They go and show you how they deceived everyone. It's there. It's memorialized as a prop. But, it's just point to the mountain, strike the grindstone again. Let me think here. Yeah, you got to watch out for these suicided people and strange death people, especially when they're actors or politicians, high profile people. It could just be part of their. It's always is a ritual, because it's like, think about it. When someone dies, what happens? There's massive insurance money that goes around. And then if you're famous, now all your stuff gets looked at again. And there's a memorial of it. So you can think of the sales that kicks up. And imagine if you faked people's deaths. That's how it's almost like in that movie Goodfellas, when they use the restaurant until it's not making enough money, then they catch it on fire and turn in the insurance money. And I'm not sure, I think, is it insurance in the Illuminati card deck? botched contract insurance, insurance fraud, something like that. But that's basically one of their motives for us shit hits the fan extraction. And here's another thing about shit hits the fan extraction. It could also be like, say they take a whole bunch, like say they took, well, let's just say randomly 1 out of 5 people, and they took them to the deep underground bases for slave labor, and basically, or genetic material to engineer into the, their perfect worker class, zombie type, non-thinking, just do it that you're told type folk. If they did this, look, and great timing with the blue beam alien false flag agenda, they could try to say that was the rapture just happened, and then they could use their machine, their horn generator machine, and they could blow that a few times, and everyone would think it was the apocalypse. Oh my gosh! And then right after that, you bring out the Antichrist, and then he's gonna look like it's the return of Jesus. I mean, it's just they really got the power to swing it like that, and they really are in some aspects trying to swing it like that. I was just kind of giving you a broad brush of how I'm feeling they're pushing this thing. But shit hits the fan extractions is connected to breakaway government, breakaway society, and the deep underground military bases, or extraction zone, whatever. These topics seem to, I mean, even where, that could be where they're manufacturing clones. You could get taken underground, you come back out, you get reimplanted false memories, and that's how you get your screw face type situations going on. And you could, I mean, it's been, they talk about that the Nazis were really into the clone. They were trying to clone and engineer the super Uberman, right? So it's easier to just, all right, if you get one super Uberman or whoever, tickles your fancy, whatever genotype that you get a little Woody from, you could use that one guy and just keep cloning him. I mean, that's basically your Star Wars too, as well. The clone armies, the Attack of the Clones or whatever. All this stuff, man. I mean, it is relevant. It's like, I just watched this movie called The Experimenter, and it was about this Milgram experiment where they got people to shock people to death, or so they thought. And all these people, even though it was a big act, all these people went through with it and hit the death switch on just some dude, basically. And it proves like how people, if an authority figure is just keep telling you to do it, keeps telling you to do it, most people fold in. If they say, oh, it's like basically if it's an order, like people will follow an order even though if it's not, it's inhumane, or if it's bad, because you get to put it off on the person who gave you the order. But in all actuality, it's kind of like your human right. You have your human right as a sovereign being to be like, no, I won't cross that line. You're wrong. You can all, but most people couldn't do it in that certain situation. Plus, they were paying them, so you can see how that kind of even means more. You got that mercenary complex. Well, I'm just doing it for the money, and you can. I mean, even though you see that's wrong, people do anything to get some money. Like do a shit hits the fan extraction, insurance fraud. Like David Bowie, Spaceman, Lazarus. I mean, laughing at you. Down in the deep underground military base, basically doing private shows for the high mucky mucks. You know what I mean? Potentially anyway. Here, I can't confirm that now, but I could see how they be playing it though. And they be playing with your emotions too. A lot of people have a lot of emotional attachment and soul tie to the era of old rock and roll music. And even now, Harry Potter, at the same time, let's just throw him in there. The dude who died from Harry Potter, that dude, he's been around forever. Once again, it's in a way, it draws in all these emotions from people, like sympathy. Their feelings are hurt. Oh, they love that movie. They have nostalgia. And these are like also, it's like like an idolatry energy harvesting ritual as well, and the fact that it's a hoax also. Like I said, you got to think of hoaxers as like they just like in your face they're gonna have a straight face, but as soon as they get around the corner, they're like, and that's what they do it for. It's like you can just think, it's like laughing. It releases chemicals in the brain, and you can. It's just like adrenaline. You get all angry all the time. You're jacked on adrenaline. You know what I'm saying? If you're laughing, you're high on a different chemical, but it's a pleasure response, and you can see how that can get weird wired and weird engineered. It's kind of like a person who learns doing bad stuff gets attention. It's like a person who's attention starved since they never got it. They learned how to be kind of like roundabout, forced into everyone's attention, even if it's not them. And it's like if they're playing tricks on you and they never even let you know that it's them, they're still in the center of your world. So it's a way of going and getting attention, stealing it, and this is kind of the way that they do it with these rituals, where they fake someone's death. They say, David Bowie OD'd on Viagra, and we found found him in a hotel with liquor bottles and syringes. He was intravenously using Viagra. No, I'm just joking. But no, that's how a lot of these stories play out. Like, they love to also send you off like embarrassing. They like to, in a way, they like to see you off with a very last embarrassing type of an event. And if it's all fake, I could see how the actors, if they're sitting in the deep underground military bases watching the stuff unfold, they're like, like Tupac faked his death. Like, he alluded to it before he died, but then again, they also portrayed him as if he was ready, death was coming around the corner. And Elvis, once again, could these all have, Michael Jackson, could they all have been shit hits the fan extractions, and like basically the Pope's got all these guys locked up somewhere in a deep vault under the Vatican, and they perform private shows for him. You know what I'm saying? I'm just putting that out there, that like hoaxery is another form of their sick magic. Is making, engineering false legends. I mean, that's even in that book, The Alchemist, the Coho dude. I heard how he's all Illuminati, and it's all in there about creating your own myth and then making people believe in it. You know what I'm saying? Is a form of their magic as well, and that's another form of gnosis apotheosis, because it's, in a way, you'll be remembered. Why? Because you made such a good hoax that it's remembered as if it's true. Like Columbus discovered America. Like America's named after Amerigo Vespucci. I mean, it's all bullshit hoaxes. And even like the American flag trimmed in gold, which stands for the law of the sea, Black's Law Book, corporate fiction, legal fiction, legalese, basically. So I mean, all this stuff, it's like everything has, like, there's two meanings. There's the exoteric and the esoteric. The exoteric just means that's for everyone to think. They want them to believe that it's a hoax. They want you to believe Oswald killed Kennedy, for instance. That's a good way. That was the exoteric. The esoteric is that the shadow government, and I mean, you ain't really pointing the finger at no particular person or organization when you say the shadow government, but it's real. It exists, but it's almost like, it's just like the law of the sea. Like, these basically pirate ships are like floating kingdoms, and they represent this kind of, while they're on the sea, it's weird. It's like they are kind of like floating kingdom, you could think of it. And then once they get on shore, they got to make deals as like this kingdom with the kingdom that they're ported with. And in a way, that's kind of how these things work. They kind of, it's a bunch of members of the government, but they get on board this ship, go over here, reconstitute a second, like, what is that called, man? Constitution. They live by two constitutions.